everyone, and welcome to Medford Happenings, a show for and about the city of Medford, and I am John Petrella. And the purpose of this program is to give Medford citizens facts and information to help you make informed choices and to discover city services or businesses you may not have been aware of. Our special guest today, is the Superintendent of the Medford Public Schools, Dr. Suzanne B. Galusi. Welcome, Suzanne. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for what you do. And it's a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be invited to be on the show. Very much.
We're as usual, we're just going to get right into it.
Okay.
We're going to focus on basically 4 topics, and we'll go into one topic. There's probably going to be a couple of questions with each topic.
Okay.
So, the first topic we have to discuss, education outcomes. Basically student achievement, learning environments. Can you walk us through a specific situation, where you thought in this space, in the high school or Voc Tech, were different? Would that student's experience or outcome be different? That's kind of complicated, but the question is, how will a new or renovated school support the education plan, improve outcomes, and, for students in either the high school or the Voc Tech?
That's a great question.
It's a tough one.
It's a great one. I actually feel like
you.
I could talk about this for a very, very long time. I will try to be as brief as possible, but I do think it's important to maybe give a little bit of history.
Sure.
Around the work that we've been doing for the past couple of years.
Sure.
So previous to this role, I was the assistant superintendent. I came up to central office from school leadership during the pandemic closure in 2020. I was the assistant superintendent for elementary education, but 2 years later, I was moved to the assistant superintendent for academics and instruction.
Okay.
And during that time, a lot of my background was around elementary education, but it was very important not only to learn secondary education, but to be creating a vertical alignment around what we want to see in classrooms and what we want our kids to be, how we want them to be educated. So a lot of that work, we went to the Department of Ed, had instructional leadership programs, and we developed an instructional vision. And you can find it on our website, but that instructional vision is the through line through everything we do from pre-K to 12. Through the work of implementing that instructional vision, one of the things that the principal here, Marta Cabral, she applied for a BAR Foundation grant. And that is a philanthropy group that allowed us, they're really into change management at the high school level.
Okay.
And so that funding really allowed her here at Medford High School, and then for us to kind of trickle it down a little bit, but to really focus on what we want our students to be, how we want our students to be educated, what we want them to be exposed to. And she's really done a lot of that work already.
Okay.
Through the visioning work for this new high school, we engaged varied stakeholders in some of that work. So we had teachers, students, caregivers, administration, central administration. And that was exactly the work we were doing.
Okay.
How do we want this to look now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now? Really talking about that. And the most impactful thing for us was listening to students.
Okay.
And one of the things that came up very much was students that were in CTE, Career Technical Education, in a shop.
Okay, so that's like more vocational?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yep. They had a more profound sense of identity and belonging than maybe our students in some of the academic classes. And so a lot of the work we've been doing is how can we create that real sense of identity so students feel like I'm a mathematician,
Right.
I'm a writer, I'm a scientist.
Right.
How can we replicate that feeling that they feel in their vocational program, in their academic classrooms?
Okay.
And so a lot of that instructional work that's been happening not only here at the high school, but also through the district is around that specifically. So I think, yes, we're expanding opportunities through our vocational programming.
Right. Yep.
But really talking about what should it look like, sound like, feel like in classrooms for students. Probably the biggest pillars around that are just making sure in vocational programs students are able to work with peers. They understand the real world connection to the work
That's important.
their work
Yep.
they're doing.
Yep.
They're able to work collaboratively on a particular task or on a particular project that's very meaningful for them and very affirming for them. So making sure we're bringing those pieces into the academic setting
That's a lot.
is the work. Yes.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's
Yes.
a lot. It's a lot. And that's a good answer. It's always important, I think, education outcomes. So,
Yes.
and this is a lead into a question, but when you think 10, 15 years ahead, not always easy to do, but
No.
if you think 10 to 15 years ahead about the programs, career pathways, the partnerships with that you have with higher education or industry, I know you'd want Medford students to have access to it. I guess the question I'm going to ask you is, what does this new facility need to incorporate in order to make your vision, what you just gave us, possible, that the current, that what we have now, it's simply, you simply cannot achieve it, no matter how well you maintain it or we maintain the school.
Sure. I think there's kind of two buckets to that.
Okay.
One is just the physical space and construction of the building. And so if we just focus on that for a little bit, the way the school is currently structured, things are pocketed or siloed, as I like to kind of say,
Okay.
around the building. It is not a full integration. So you have all of the CTE programming, the vocational programming, in one wing,
Right.
isolated from everything else in the rest of the school.
Yeah.
It's not woven through. It's not clustered by pathways or domain. And so it also doesn't get traffic from other students. It's really the people that are over in the vocational wing are just the students that are in
Okay.
CTE shops.
Yep.
That is the same thing for our arts wing, the same thing for some of our special education programming. And so if I just look at the arts wing, students are brilliant in the fine arts and music classrooms. And none of that is really on display in main areas of the building because it's isolated in one wing.
Okay.
So there's that piece. There's also the piece that per MSBA and per the Department of Education, all of our classroom spaces are smaller than regulation. And I will be honest, we were surprised to find that out
Okay.
about
Yeah.
our vocational programming. Because
even the Vokes, I didn't know that.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
and so a lot of the shop spaces vary,
Right.
but there are some spaces that, we felt were quite large. If I look at automotive, but it's still smaller than regulation size.
Okay.
And so the same for our classrooms. A lot of our classrooms are very small, very rigid, do not have adaptable furniture, do not have adaptable space where students
Right.
can work
Yep.
with peers,
Yep.
work in projects, spread out. It's very constraining. And then the other piece that's very important is just there is a lack of inclusivity within our school around like just ADA compliance. And so there are pieces of our building, whether it's community facing or whether it's instructionally, that we have to get better about thinking about how everyone comes into this space and accesses this space to provide more access and more inclusive opportunities. And that can be as simple as wayfinding. There's really not a lot of signage around here.
Okay, that's what I was gonna. Yeah, when you say wayfinding,
yes. How do you get from here to there?
Right. Okay. Yeah.
But there are some. This school was built a while ago, so
yes.
Even if you're talking about, I'll just take for example the auditorium. We've tried very much to do as much as we possibly can. We created a ramp on the opposite side for people to enter the auditorium, but it is cumbersome.
Okay.
We have changed the door. It used to stick. There were no railings. We've added some railings, but there's still some accessibility down the center aisle. So things like that are also just important for the way we operate. And then lastly, I would just say it's really difficult to try to think about what education is going to look, to your point, like 10 years from now, 15 years from now. I can't believe our new schools, our K-8 buildings were 25, 26 years ago. And even some of that, has evolved a little bit to where we are right now.
Yep.
So I think we're trying to take an approach that is highly flexible so that we can adapt to the changing needs of the community and education.
Okay. So, another thing, let's call it facility operations. Let's put it that way. When you look at the proposed, building designs.
Yes.
Can you help us understand how well it maps, with the instructional models your team's using today? And you had said it does leave flexibility to adapt to the model, to evolve over the next 20 or 30 years. But can you, as things continue to adapt, you'd be a little bit more flexible? Like what exactly?
I would love to.
I'm just
to give more
curious.
details of it. Yes. So, as said before, in order to make sure that we are creating a flagship high school that is going to meet the demands, the growing demands of a community and of a high school population and a teaching educational population, we are focusing on flexibility. So what that means is trying to be intentional around our spaces. So, for example, instead of, making sure we have large group instruction spaces. So you have your classroom spaces that we want to make sure are integrated with CTE, with support services, right? So that students feel that sense of belonging in all areas of the school.
Right.
But on top of that, having larger breakout spaces where groups of teachers or the principal, the assistant principal, or the community can come in and utilize that space. Right now, I think if we maybe think back, this high school was built in 1970.
Yes, I was here.
Were you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
There weren't a lot of those communal breakout spaces. It's classrooms, even the theater. I don't know, it's maybe somewhere around 330 seats.
Yes, yep.
Not all are working, so it's probably a little less.
Yeah.
But the principal doesn't have a space where she can gather an entire grade level of students or 2 grade levels of students for speaker series, for just a grade level assembly.
Right.
We don't have that option here in this current building. It's just the gymnasium. If for instructional purposes, that's not always conducive to be in the
isn't.
gymnasium. So we're trying to really prioritize like learning hubs, large spaces that can be gathered for instructional purposes.
Yeah.
And I would say spaces where we can be flexible. So right now, if we're looking at spaces that may adapt to the growing needs, STEM spaces like maker spaces, spaces beyond the vocational culinary that can be used, let's say like a smaller kitchen area maybe, that could
Okay.
be used for nutrition classes, for world language classes. So if we are able to create STEM, makerspace, culinary spaces like that
Right.
within large group settings that have a multi-purpose use, that will be able to adapt to not only the disciplines within the building, but the growing needs of the community over time.
Yeah, no, things have changed. No doubt about it. My class was, I think it was, 730 of us, I think. So it's, I mean, there's less students now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
that is true.
Yeah, yeah. But I was thinking back because my mind, when you asked that question, I'm like, yeah, the gymnasium, and it wasn't really,
Well, we're lucky we have
Yeah.
quite a large gymnasium.
yeah, but it wasn't really, conducive for certain things, put it that way.
Yes.
I hear you loud and clear. All right, so we're going to stay with sort of the facility operations. As a superintendent, you have intimate experience with operational reality. Often a design rendering, okay, I guess it can be, very different from the actual movement, space assignment, and you have, 1,300 students and their teachers. So we'll call this question 4. What are the friction points? In the high school, the vocational spaces that would cost teachers instructional time or make it harder for students, to get where they need to be. Will and how and will the new facility, configuration, will it solve these daily transit class assignment challenges? Because I think you're gonna face some of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you have to. So
Yeah, so I would say where we are in the phase right now, we still have, and we just had a meeting last night for the building committee.
Yep, I remember. Yep.
And so we have 5 concepts that we are looking at, and we will narrow that down to 1 at the June 10th meeting. Whatever concept we decide to build out in design, they all will meet what your
So
question is asking.
That's all in there.
Yes, no matter what. It will probably be done in different ways,
Right, of
depending on
course.
which way we go.
Right.
Except for option A, because option A is just a code upgrade.
Okay.
So it doesn't change the layout, the format, the structure. We're still kind of constrained to what this is. It's just doing a code upgrade.
Okay.
And as of right now, does not meet the educational plan. So we really would be looking at the 4 other concepts. But to answer your question kind of like specifically, I would say the biggest piece, which I chatted about a little bit, would be like adjacencies. So being very intentional, and this work will come once we select one concept to
Okay.
build out to design.
Yep.
That's when the work will come to decide where we're locating things within the building.
Okay.
And so I do think adjacencies are going to be critical. That came up a lot in the visioning work that we did with students as well as current staff. And what I mean by that is, again, right now vocational is all in one hallway, arts is all in one hallway.
Right.
Special education is clustered for some of the programming. Having a more intentional outlook at where we're locating programs and classrooms are going to make it easier for students, and it's going to make it easier for staff, and it's going to have a more cohesive approach to how the day is handled. So one of the pieces to mention is that MSBA has a calculation when they're talking about use of a classroom, and they say that the classroom has to be used 80% of the day or more. And just with the bargaining, like the contractual obligations of teachers, it precludes teachers from having their own classrooms. So we do have to have some sharing.
Okay. Yeah.
And so in order to really be intentional about teachers' planning time, personal time, their prep time, their instructional time, where we're going to put those teacher planning rooms near the instructional classrooms is really going to be an important part of the work. We also want to create academic hubs so that they're anchored to parts or to wings or parts of the building, so that you have that like centralized space where teachers can have some interdisciplinary time. They could work with teachers collaboratively. Students have breakout spaces beyond the classroom, but there's like clear sight lines. So I would really say the adjacencies and how we're locating and building this facility once we have a concept that we want to build out to a design is going to be the key part.
Okay. All right.
And I would say the other piece about the adjacencies, because I spoke about it before, is, you know, when you look at the vocational or CTE programming, some of the programming needs to be in a part of the building that is accessible outdoors. It has a bay.
Okay. It has to be accessible outdoors.
Yes, because they're community facing.
All right. Yep.
And or they're loud.
Okay.
And they're smelly.
Yeah, okay. It's
right? So we don't want to put you know, carpentry
I hear you.
necessarily next to a math class or you know.
Yeah.
But some of them are community facing and they need to have those exterior bays.
Yeah,
so
I hear you.
You know, you can but then science classrooms, we have, you know, our biotech classroom for CTE. That adjacency to some other science classrooms would be much more intentional than it is right now.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Boy, things have changed since I went to school. That's all I'm going to say. Dramatically.
Me too.
Yes,
Me too.
no, I know, but I mean, wow. Yeah.
Yes.
All right, so we've covered two topics, and I think you did a great job covering those. Now, what I would say is topic 3, the investment.
Sure.
Okay. The high school project will involve, well, I don't know, hundreds, thousands of decisions, what to prioritize, what to leave, I don't know, for a future phase, where to put the money. From your perspective, as the person responsible, I mean, you're the person responsible for education outcomes. What are the 2 or 3 investments within this facility that you believe, you know, they're absolutely no negotiations, non-negotiable, you know, you have to have it. And on the other side, where would you recommend? I mean, there are going to be different situations where you're going to have to be disciplined, you know, resist the temptation to overbuild, whatever you want to call it. But, and I know this is a very long and tough question, but I'm very...
Yeah. I will try my best.
No, I know you will, and you are.
So, first and foremost, I do want to just say that, again, we are following MSBA guidelines. And
just so I don't mean to interrupt you, but MSBA is what?
Oh, thank you for that.
Yeah,
Massachusetts School Building Authority.
Okay, this way people know. Yeah.
Yes, thank you for that.
Yeah.
See, education has a lot of acronyms.
Yeah, no, but it does.
I should have learned that.
Yeah, no, that's
correct.
okay. That's okay.
So as I said, where we are in the process right now has really been, you know, we developed our educational plan. We looked at the space summary. Those 2 documents inform one another. So how do you want to educate students, and what do you need to get that done?
Right.
And how do they play together and intersect? We have concepts that we're going to narrow down on June 10th. Part of the work we're doing now, as you mentioned for this question, all of our decisions for the internal educational team has been guided by students.
Okay.
What students need, what they deserve to be educated in this building. And again, that is classroom space that is going to allow for student voice and student agency.
Okay.
And that means it's space that they can grow and expand and use, where there can be breakout collaborative spaces. It's not sitting in rows. It's not stand and deliver. Okay. It's students engaged in learning.
Okay.
And that takes some space. It's also making sure, as I mentioned before, we're prioritizing that flexible space, and we're prioritizing per MSBA guidelines what that space should look like. All decisions, so for the April 27th school building committee meeting,
Right.
we did talk about space.
Yes.
And the district presented a series of proposals to reduce some space in like the first iteration. We have more conversations to have. But that first iteration, we used a 3 R's approach, and we looked for spaces that could be repurposed, like retitled.
Right.
We looked for spaces that should be reduced. And we looked for spaces that could serve like another purpose. So all of our decisions are to make sure that we are keeping those reductions farthest from students. So
I
what is that?
understand.
What is that? That's office space. It's been a long history here in Medford that our school buildings and some of our municipal buildings are community spaces. And so I think we all grew up here, even with a more thriving community schools within Medford High School than exists today, but we have a lot of community-facing programs here.
Yes.
Right? And so our registration office, which we call our Welcome Center, is located here. All of our central office spaces are here. We have our municipal daycare here. We have Medford Family Network that serves the community
Right.
here.
Yep.
We have this lovely space here.
Yes. Yep.
So there are a lot of community-facing spaces. And so really looking at, first and foremost, I almost want to park central office spaces over here.
Okay.
Because part of the conversation we had last night for the school building committee meeting was, are there other spaces in Medford that could house some or all of these community-facing pieces? I don't know that answer. I
Right.
think that's something that the city is looking into. That's something that I think we'll have lots of extended conversation
Okay.
about.
Yep.
But we have to put office spaces for our employees somewhere.
Right.
But our priorities are educating students and preserving community spaces, programs, organizations that serve our families and our community. And so our municipal daycare is beyond our teachers. Kids Corner services all municipal employees, so we have fire, police, city workers, some community members that have their children in that daycare.
Right.
And we do save student spaces. We do have students that use that space
Right.
so that they can finish their education. So I very much want to make sure we're preserving spaces
Right.
like that over office spaces. The other ways we looked at reducing or repurposing was the space summary was written per MSBA guidelines, and it called for a majority of CTE shops to have a bathroom, a changing room,
Yep.
a separate office, and a separate content classroom.
Okay.
And We are reviewing that right now. I don't think that every single shop needs all 4 of those spaces.
Okay.
I think shops can share bathrooms if they have changing rooms, or use the bathrooms in the hallway if they have changing rooms.
Okay.
And if they have adjoining classroom space for instruction, they may not need an office space, and vice versa. So we are reviewing spaces like that.
Okay.
It's not the shop space. It's the additional spaces.
All right.
And things like, we have a thriving arts department, but we're still building our theater program. And so we don't need a black box theater, which is a secondary theater.
Yes, right.
But if we have a large group instruction space, like I had mentioned before, we can very easily, as in this studio,
Right.
put up some black curtains and adapt that space as needed
Right.
to
Yep.
be a black
There
box.
you go.
So
Okay.
that's what we're trying to do.
Yep. Yeah, no, because what you said, it really, there is a lot of other things up here besides.
And I think Medford has prioritized that. If
Yes.
you look at the
Yeah.
new library
Yes.
in Medford Square,
That is incredible. Yeah.
and it's not just a building to go and check out books.
No, it's completely different.
There are
Yeah.
community spaces in that building.
Yeah.
It welcomes community use.
Yes, it does.
And so
It's incredible.
it is.
It really is. All right, so you really have engaged with the the feasibility design process. Do you feel the proposed configurations reflect all of those uses in a way that's going to maximize the community's return on this investment? It's a big investment.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Okay.
First and foremost, yes.
Okay.
But I would say if I were going to expand on that again, I do want to just say we're still in the middle of the work. We don't know sitting here right now what the cost is going to be.
Right.
We have to do the work between now and June 10th. We have to narrow down to one concept that's going to be built into design. And that is going to be done from June 10th to October. So we have all that time to continue to look at space, to continue
Okay.
to refine and make this building what we want and what we need. And so we're not really going to know the total price until next winter.
Okay.
So I do say that. But the preliminary costs, I do know for some people it's causing concern. And I'm not minimizing that. But I do want to just remind people that we just don't know the real numbers yet. And we
Right.
haven't finished the work. And so now's not the time to get nervous.
Yeah, okay.
And I do want to just say...
No, I agree. I don't think, I hear that, but
Yeah.
I don't think anyone's nervous. I think, people want a new building up here. There's no doubt about it. And
Yeah.
everyone wants what's best for the kids, of course.
Yes.
But, it has to be, I don't want to use the word, I don't know what word to use, reasonable. It has to be, is it going to be expensive? I think everyone's aware of that. But it's just like how expensive.
Yeah, I
You
think
know?
some of that comes down to community. So we are a comprehensive high school.
Right.
Our high school because of our CTE program, that's what makes us a comprehensive high school. Today we have 14 shops.
Yep.
Next year we're going to have 16 shops.
The Evoke is incredible.
Yes.
It
We are adding-
definitely is.
We are adding plumbing and informational services
Yep, I
next
saw that.
year.
Yep.
But by the time this building opens, we will have 19. So
Okay.
we're opening plumbing, but until we have the new space, we can't open HVAC because
right.
we need that space,
Yep.
right? So even if we just look at the vocational programming, that's a large amount of space as it is.
Okay.
Then we also have our community-facing spaces that is a decision for a lot of people in the community. I personally prioritize a lot of that. And until we know if they can go somewhere else, I very much would not support that they are unhoused.
Okay.
I also have to just say, I grew up here. I was educated by Medford Public Schools.
Me too.
Yes. I have family here. I have family that are educated through Medford Public Schools. So I'm very proud of the work we're doing.
Okay.
And I do think this is a complex, comprehensive high school with community-facing priorities that we're building the flagship
Yeah.
for the community. And that is different than building an elementary school. And that's not, you know,
It's
just two different things.
Yes, completely.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree with you on that. We're going to get to the end of this now.
Okay.
All right. I thank you, because really, I've learned a lot listening. But I like the last topic. There's sort of two questions. I think I'm going to not put them together, but the value proposition. And you touched on this a little bit. Mm-hmm. I've lived in Medford, most of my life, whatever. I owned a house and, the whole 9 yards. But, let's imagine a Medford homeowner, parent, whatever. Someone like me graduated from Medford High School or the Voc. I had a lot of friends graduate from the Voc. Did very well, by the way. But, and they're looking at a tax bill. And, they're going to be asking a very direct question. Why does it have to cost that much or this much, whatever it's going to be? And I know nobody knows what the cost is yet. But I guess, the other question is, what will my family actually get that we don't have today? As the superintendent, in your own words, I guess. Mm-hmm. I think that's a good question. What do we get?
No, I think it's a great question. I feel like all of your questions and my responses have led up to this.
Yes, this is the
answer. So I feel like I'm going to be a little redundant, to be honest with you.
That's fine.
But I feel like this current building is not only is it not educating students in the manner they deserve.
Right.
But it also is costing the city because of the age and of the maintenance. And I do worry about the life expectancy of this current building. So the roof of the pool is just about ready to blow off, collapse. I'm not personally on Facebook, but if you kind of watch social media, there are sometimes concerns around the fluctuations of temperature in this building.
Yes.
It's too cold, it's too hot. We're not really able to regulate that space. I would also say that there's quite a lot of classrooms in this building that have no natural sunlight.
Right.
And no operating windows. So even if you have maybe some sunlight, you don't have operating windows. I would also say that even though students are able to move from class to class and may have opportunities to be in spaces with natural light or operating windows,
right,
teachers don't.
Yeah, they're in this. I hear you. Yeah.
They're in their classrooms all day, and they're educating students to the absolute best of their ability, 100% dedicated to their job of caring and educating students. And I would say that our outdated maintenance, the way the building is, heated and cooled, all of that, the electricity, all of that is a cost, an ongoing cost to the city, that this not only allows us the opportunity to educate our students in the way that they deserve, but it also will provide a state-of-the-art building that is ADA accessible, inclusive for our varied communities. And again, we're sitting at a point where this is a comprehensive high school with a lot of community-facing programs.
Yes, it is.
And
Yep.
so that is a principle, a priority, a core value for many, and that's part of our ongoing conversation,
Okay.
so that we're not unhousing
Right.
things that are like really important to the sense of belonging that
Yes.
people get
Yep.
in the city of Medford.
Okay. So that was great. Hear you loud and clear. We'll finish up with this. We could keep going.
Oh, I could keep talking
Yeah,
for
no,
a very
I know,
long time.
I know. So I could, and I have like, just from this show, I got another 50 questions I could ask you,
Sure.
but unfortunately,
Well, we can do round two.
yeah, well, maybe we will. That's a good idea.
Or
So,
3 or 4.
Staying on the value proposition,
Sure.
this is a little bit different. This question.
Okay.
You know, one of the hardest things to communicate in a project like this, and I've seen this happen. Anyhow, it's the price of inaction, a delay, or maybe even scaling back. So we'll end the show with this. From where you sit, what is the honest? You know, what would be the cost, the honest cost to Medford students and families? You know, what are we already losing today? And what do we risk losing permanently? Let's just say this moment passes and we don't get a bold and appropriate response.
Yeah.
You know, in other words, it doesn't get done. Oh, look at that face.
I mean, that's
I had to ask it, but
yes, no,
yeah.
you do. But I feel like I do feel like I've answered that question in a lot of my
Yes.
responses.
Yes, you have.
But I would say maybe if I could really kind of pinpoint the world, our country,
Right.
has been through a lot in the past 6 years.
Yes.
And I think we have also come to a realization about what our schools mean
Oh, yeah.
to our students, to our teachers, to our families, and to our communities. And I would say first and foremost, we have to prepare students for life, for college, for career.
Yes.
This current building, I'm not saying it doesn't do that, but it does hinder and add challenges and constraints to how we are able to do that a new building would just open up that opportunity for.
Yep.
So the new building with more flexible spaces, having students work with one another, work on those skills of not only just sitting and absorbing information, but really working with it, being collaborative with it, engaging with it, and transferring that. That's the skills that students need in order to be successful
Right.
in college and career.
Right.
That's less about technology, less about sitting and taking notes with a teacher delivering instruction. That is getting into the work.
It's the actual learning.
It's
yeah.
the actual learning.
Yeah, I hear
And
you.
I would say that the cost of not doing anything right now is, I do feel, a cost to the community.
Okay.
And I would say again that students deserve to be in a school where they enter the space and they feel safe.
Absolutely.
They feel a sense of belonging. And those two things come with them being comfortable in
Okay.
temperature controlled
Right. No, I
environments
understand all that. Believe me.
with
Yeah.
vitamin D.
I went here.
I know.
So
But it also means that
I know.
they're able to navigate a space that is cohesive to them.
Right. Yeah.
And then I would say the cost is, again, much less about central office space
Right.
and very much about
What?
community organizations that have had such an impact
Yes.
to Medford families that I don't want to see unhoused.
Okay.
And I'm not aware of right now what other spaces could be or what those associated costs
Right.
could be.
Okay.
And I think it would be a huge detriment to lose something like MFN, Medford Family Network.
Right.
They provide wraparound services
I agree.
and support.
No
Yes,
one's
I'm sure.
No
right.
one's going to disagree with that.
100%.
Yeah. Yes.
And to
we
see
all
the way the
agree.
community has rallied against.
Yes.
I mean,
with
them to
yes.
try and help.
It's been incredible.
Their funding challenge.
Yes. Yep.
That's
a lot of good things.
that's the cost.
Yep. Well, we got to wrap it up,
Okay.
and we'll call this round one.
Round
and then
one.
we're going to have round two.
Okay.
Okay. Once
Okay.
we get a little more down the line, I think we should have round two.
Absolutely.
And once again, just thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it. So I want to thank Superintendent Galusi for joining us on Medford Happenings, and wish continued success for the Medford Public School District. I also want to take a minute. I want to thank everyone who has been watching the show. Thank you for your feedback. If you would like to appear on the show, contact us at Medford Happenings 02155@gmail.com. And I just want to add one thing. You are contacting us, and you are keeping us busy. So thank you for that, I think. So you'll be able to watch replays of this program on Medford Community Media Access Channel. Check out our website, medfordhappenings.com. You can now either view or you can listen to the podcast of this program. You can find all of our shows on YouTube. Just go to youtube.com, search for Medford Happenings. Please like and subscribe to our channel and videos. And you can also find us on Facebook at Medford Happenings. We also have a section on Reddit, which you can find us on, reddit.com/r/Medford Happenings. So for the Medford Happening team, Marco, Paul, Bruce, James, I'm John Petrella. Remember, stay informed. And thank you, Dr. Galousi.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ta-da!